Hi guys, welcome back to Folklore Fridays. There's a little bit of different setup this week. Due to the weather, it's been a bit hard for us to film with a fire or anything at the moment. So don't worry about that. Normal service will return next week. But just before we go into the video, I want to correct some things from last week. I said Anthony Hopkins as the Witchfinder General. It's actually Matthew Hopkins, so sorry for any confusion there. Apart from that, I think I got most things right last week. Obviously, any other issues, do say. But what we're doing this week is I'm going to explain to you something quite close to me and something massive in fiction and folklore: the vampire, or Strigoi, Draugr, Revenant. Many different names across many different continents. Let's start off with what a vampire is. Depending on where you're from, a vampire is either a spirit or a person who comes back from the dead to feed on human blood, cause horror, or haunt a family. Mainly, the epitome of evil across societies. That's the main term, or the way I like to term a vampire, because many different cultures will have different names. Let's go through some of them. To start off with, a Strigoi. A Strigoi is a creature from Romanian and Eastern European folklore which can come back for 40 days after the death of the creature, after the death of the person, to haunt family, kill and feed. It can continue as long as the body hasn't fully decayed, so that's about 40 days. Mostly within that time, they will target family members or people that did them wrong in their real life. That's why Romania is one of the worst places in the world for vampire folklore, which we'll come into later. They still believe in them, and there was a case in 2004 of people actually digging up a body and staking it because they thought it was a vampire. But what do I think on it? Before we go into some of the history, I want to explain a little bit what I think a vampire is. I think vampire is how people couldn't understand how the body decomposes. And obviously now science knows that your fingernails and your hair does grow after death. Your body does bloat while you're decomposing. So these are signs which, to a person who wasn't really born in the modern day, would look like someone's still alive. There's more like blood coming out of orifices. There are all signs of decomposition. But it's like in most things with science, they're theories or facts. But in superstitious times, or even some places around the world now, seeing that will affect people because they don't understand it. Even nowadays, stuff we don't explain, we try and don't understand, we try and explain through different names. Let's get into let's break it down though. Most people would know a vampire from Bram Stoker's Dracula. That's because the term vampire was never really used in common knowledge till the 19th century. Mainly popularised by Bram Stoker's and brought more into cult fiction and pulp fiction. Pulp is a film, but cult fiction by Nosferatu. Is loosely based off an adaptation of Dracula, but obviously not entirely. It's a different premise and a different story. But that was the first proper horror movie. It was a silent German film, but that's the first depiction of a vampire in film. Not the last. There's a film I believe every year about a vampire, because it's something which gets down deep in us as people, something that preys on us when we sleep, comes in the night, causes problems, which is a deep fear amongst people, like sleep paralysis and other bits, because when we feel like we're at home, that's where we should feel comfortable. So that's where a lot of the fear for vampire comes from. But let's break down Dracula. The Dracula story is written by Bram Stoker about a man who goes to a castle, or Castle Transylvania, and meets a count called Count Dracula, and that causes a few problems in their life. A bit of worries, stuff, leading to his death. Their story was developed into 4 different stories, relating from Dracula comes to London, to Dracula across the seas, and a few others. Really good example is in the BBC new TV series called Dracula, which I recommend to watch if you're interested in vampires. But the stories are all based off one man in particular, a man called Vlad the Impaler, the Count of Transylvania. During his reign, the Ottomans invaded his land, and the way he ran his country with fear. But if you talk to most Romanians, they say he was a good leader, so it depends on your opinion. But he used to impale his victims and drink their blood. Most people say out of fear, but some say he's anemic, or needs blood to survive. That's down to interpretations. They used to call it like the dragon. It was the dragon. That's what the Turks called him, or the Ottomans. But he kept his land free for his entire life, till he died, or was handed over. But that's not where it stops, because vampires have really broken into most folklore in those countries. So let's start off with some other examples of vampires in Europe. In Western Europe, it's the Revenant, or the Draugr in Norse, undead people who come back to life, stronger and immortal. Or if you go into the Bible, Lilith, Adam's first wife, is meant to be the evil one. Lilith, or the first wife of Adam before Eve. Obviously, if you've read the Bible stories, we'll probably cover in another video. But obviously she was cast out of the Garden of Eden for not obeying Adam. In the Bible, she's the first evil, works with the devil and all that part. Depends on what you believe. You might not believe in that stuff. But vampires have been a part of our history as long as anyone can remember. The term vampire obviously hasn't, but what a vampire is has. But a lot of these base off real medical condition called anemia. A lot of people don't understand the need for blood. So that's where a lot of the vampire, like the pale skin, comes from. It's from that condition. And that's where we're going to go into now, of why I think it is. I think a vampire comes from another deep-seated issue in us of uncomfort being in the house or our home. Someone can invade it and take from us, even from beyond the dead. And a sheer sense of evil amongst people that even if someone's killed, it's not dead. How you kill a vampire, obviously, the normal ones, garlic and holy water and a stake through the heart. But that's if you believe the stuff. You might not. I'm not 100% sure. I don't believe in such vampires, but it's based off something, and until science can tell us otherwise, there's no point discounting stuff we don't know about. Again, on all our videos, I'd like to hear your guys' opinion, see what you think about it, see if you know any stories or new cases, because there's a lot out there. I'd love to hear them. If anyone's from around the world, or you have some stories from where you come from, so like Native America, South America, Africa, Asia. I know there's a few like the Aswang, which is kind of similar, but I don't 100% know. So I'd like to hear some stuff about that, if anyone knows anything. Thanks for watching our video. This has been VenterAdventures. I'm Michael. Please like and subscribe. Keep venting.